I have found out that Americans are never ever ashamed of spending. They will spend and spend to their last kobo because the things they are buying are stupid and maybe not even that stupid. But let's be real here. Why are Americans doomed spending more with their chicken change salary?
Today, millions of Americans pack shopping malls and stores across the country searching for the deals this holiday weekend. And new data shows they're spending big.
Wages against costs, a broken equation. While nominal wages have seen small and modest increases, they have not kept with the speed of the rising cost of living. In the 12-month period ending March 2025, wages and salaries increased by 3.4%. However, this growth is insufficient when compared to the escalating costs of housing, healthcare, and education. For instance, real wages declined by 3.2% between December 2020 and December 2024, as prices rose by 21.2% while nominal wages increased by only 17.3%. The hidden truth is that we have to spend on housing, healthcare, and others so that we can survive in this God-forsaken country. The disparity between wages and living costs has led many Americans to rely on debt to bridge the gap. Credit cards, student loans, and auto loans have become common ground tools that Americans often use in managing their expenses, which in return will create a crazy illusion of affordability, which can never ever be the case in the America I know.
High unemployment has been one of the nation's most vexing problems since the recession. But increasingly, there are also mounting concerns about what constitutes a good job and a fair wage in an era of rising inequality.
The debt machine. As of early 2025, credit card balances reached $1.2 trillion, growing by $45 billion during the fourth quarter of the previous year. Student loan debt and auto loans also constitute substantial portions of household debt. Additionally, the rise of buy now, pay later schemes has introduced new avenues for consumers to incur debt without fully understanding the long-term implications. This different type of debt machines that has been throwing more Americans into the debt of hellfire has also consumed the souls of how Americans spend in the country. The buy now, pay later is the one that particularly pains me the most, but I don't want to go into much details. Also, the financial institutions benefit significantly from consumer debt through interest payments and fees. The structure of credit products often includes high interest rates and penalties for late payments, creating a revenue stream that thrives on consumer indebtedness. This dynamic incentivizes the promotion of credit usage, sometimes at the expense of consumers' financial well-being. Even the so-called buy now and pay later is something that has its own penalties if you don't pay on time. Everything in America creeps into all houses and makes each household become debtors either by crook or by hook. It is really, really well. Anyway, let's move to the next one.
Big news for Costco shoppers. The wholesale retailer launching a buy now, pay later program. Starting this month, shoppers online can make a payment plan with Costco's pay partner, Affirm. Be warned, though, that this program charges interest, hefty interest, between 10 and 36%, depending on the size of the purchase. So think big electronics, perhaps, or a car. They sell those.
Systemic influences. You see these corporations that roam in America where they tell you to pay monthly fee for protecting your private information online, for therapy session like BetterHelp and many more. They are all in the same category where they come up with one idea that takes at least 4% of your income. These startup companies invest heavily in marketing strategies designed to stimulate consumer spending. And before I forget, corporate lobbying can influence legislation in ways that favor business interests over consumer protection. These practices contribute to an economic environment that encourages consumption and debt accumulation, often at the expense of long-term financial health for consumers. I know that they used to say, if you have a great idea, you have to start it before someone else does that. But this is what I truly want to say. If you have a great and fantastic idea, start it, but please, and please again, don't let your monthly fee for your service be too expensive because your company will go broke as quick as possible. That is all I have to say.
An average American, though, spends about $1,000 on subscriptions every year. Imagine that, $1,000 every year on subscriptions. It's because companies trick them. They make subscriptions easy to buy, but extremely difficult to cancel.
The disappearing middle class. The American middle class has been shrinking over the past 5 decades, but this year alone is a living testimony that it has already happened. The share of adults living in middle-class households fell from 61% in 1971 to 50% in 2021. This erosion reduces the financial buffer that once protected a significant portion of the population from economic downturns, making them more susceptible to financial instability. Many Americans are indeed broke, and it is not that they don't even have the money, but the money is not just enough. They have to spend, but at the same time, they have to survive to get by the day, but still, again, the money is still not enough. Lower and middle-income households are disproportionately affected by economic policies and market fluctuations. They often lack access to wealth-building opportunities and are more vulnerable to job insecurity and rising living costs. This demographic is more likely to rely on debt to manage expenses, leading to a cycle of financial hardship that is difficult to escape.
Well, as the cost of living continues to rise, many Americans are adopting a new retirement plan. Just keep working, don't retire. A new study found about half of middle-class Americans who are employed plan to work past 65.
Generational impact. I am part of this Gen Z generation, but I am scared. Intergenerational economic disparities have sparked debates about responsibility for current economic challenges. Baby boomers benefited from economic conditions that facilitated wealth accumulation, while millennials and Gen Z face higher education costs, stagnant wages, and a more precarious job market. But if you see this Gen Alpha, they are totally finished if care is not taken. The baby boomers have eaten a lot, and I would do the same, especially when the economy conditions is great. We will all do the same and never drop one bone. We, the internet generations, have limited ability to achieve financial stability and upward mobility, but the economic outlook for future generations is definitely concerning. With rising debt levels, limited wage growth, and increasing living costs, younger Americans face significant barriers to success.
Look at the comparison here, getting a look at this generation. And again, when we say Gen Z, what are we talking? We're talking to people under 30 years old, newest, youngest set of voters. Overall, what you're seeing here is Donald Trump, not that popular. You see, overall, 45 approve, 55 disapprove, but much less popular. It's basically 2-to-1 disapprove among Gen Z. This is a more anti-Trump, Trump-hostile generation than we see in the other generations. This extends to Trump policies, trade, tariffs. Again, overall, not that popular.
Can the doomed spending be fixed? Well, I don't know if it will be fixed. But if you think reducing your spending will help you, then you just miscalculated your steps. The system is working and not working at the same time. So, you should figure out what works best for you, because we are on our own on this one.